Like single mums, right? People targeting single mums saying, oh, they're this, they're that, they're trash, they're this, they're damaged, they're. It took me all my might not to duet this like this certain person's video, right? About how he would never date a single mum. I'm sorry, honey. We wouldn't date you, right? But anyway, what my point is do you know how hard it is to be a single mum? Do you know how hard it is to not have anyone to rely on apart from yourself? Do you know what it's like to literally bring up your children on your own, figure out a way to provide for them and not have another like income coming into your home?
That was your choice. Guys, I find it so incredibly interesting that you'll have all of these single mothers who get so pressed by the fact that men aren't dating them and that their life is so difficult. Single mothers, for the most part, have chosen to be single mothers. They never take accountability for A, the type of men that they allow into their life, and B, the fact that their situation is a product of their own decisions. Oftentimes, guys, when these women either remove a man from their life or they are unable to keep a man around, they're still receiving money from the government, they're still receiving support from society in general, and to me, guys, that is something that is just absolutely insane. Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again with another response video, and on today's episode, guys, we are going to be responding to single mothers that are rather frustrated at their dating situation, okay? And the reason why in the title it says, would you date a single mother? Here we have a girl who is denying a particular man in a video, saying that she would not date him. A lot of these girls fail to consider the fact that men are not interested in dating them. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person, it doesn't mean that they're an awful person, it just means that a lot of men are not interested in taking care of another man's child and entering into your life in order to fix it. But guys, it is very funny to see a lot of these women get pressed about the fact that men aren't dating them. So without further ado, we're just going to jump in and we're going to take a listen to this first woman describe her dating and life experience as a single mother. So let's take a listen.
I'm a single mum. Hair not washed, been up literally all night last night, sitting cracking on, doing my ironing, just cleaned 3 bathrooms, bleach all over my new Bloody Essentials hoodie. Yes, I'm absolutely dead. Do you know what? And I've been sitting while I'm ironing, scrolling TikTok in the background and came across a good few videos about single mums.
Okay, so what she's going to be talking about is negative videos about single mothers or men cautioning other men not to date single mothers. There is a reason why men tell each other not to date single mothers, guys, and that is because it is a terrible idea. We're going to go into why as we continue throughout this video, but I just want to highlight the fact, guys, whenever you hear these girls complain like, oh, my life is so difficult, I'm constantly exhausted, why do I have no energy to do anything? I've spent the whole day cleaning the house, blah, blah, blah. They signed up for this, okay? Now, unless the boyfriend or the husband or the long-term partner is no longer in the picture as a result of some, let's just say, very unfortunate circumstance, you really don't have a reason to be raising a child without a father in the picture. But here we are in the West, guys, single mothers galore. I swear, you guys go outside these days, and honestly, you can see so many single mothers, and I just think to myself, it's incredibly sad for the child who grows up without a father figure, even though the mother could secure a father to stay in the picture. Let's keep going.
Like single mums, right? People targeting single mums saying, oh, they're this, they're that, they're trash, they're this, they're damaged, they're... It took me all my might not to duet this like this certain person's video, right? About how he would never date a single mum. I'm sorry, honey. We wouldn't date you, right? But anyway.
That's a very interesting point that she raises, guys, because while she says that she wouldn't date this particular man, a lot of men are not interested in dating single mothers straight up, even to begin with. Okay, a lot of guys are not interested in taking care of another man's child, and I see this all the time, guys, where single mothers will go on and on about having standards, okay, and the need to have high standards so that you don't allow negativity into your life. And it's the same story of these girls who say, look, I've learned my lesson dealing with the bad boys, and now I'm ready to receive that good energy, because, and then they'll start citing crap like, I don't know, what's that thing called, the law of attraction. You know, you need to welcome in the positive energy, and basically what it means is I'm ready for a guy who's going to take care of me. The other men who didn't take care of me, or the other men that I removed from my life, they don't have to do anything, okay? They can have the bedroom fun, they can, you know, leave me with a child and then leave the situation. But what I need to do now is to raise my standards for the next man who is going to enter my life. And then they're confused, guys, right? Why men come along and caution each other not to date single mothers. The reason why, there are so many, but the reason why men caution each other not to date single mothers is because you are voluntarily entering into a world full of headaches that do not belong to you. Okay, you take on all the responsibility for the child, for her, for the household, whatever the case may be. And again, you get none of the responsibility and authority that comes with these things. Like, try disciplining the child of a single mother when you are the, you know, the stepfather or the dude entering the picture. Good luck with that.
What my point is do you know how hard it is to be a single mum? Do you know how hard it is to not have anyone to rely on apart from yourself? Do you know what it's like to literally bring up your children on your own, figure out a way to provide for them and not have another like income coming into your home? Like,
this is just like, guys, I swear to you, it's like another episode of let me make my decisions in my life and then go on to complain about them. Like, I see very little difference between this. Okay, so if this woman, you know, the husband or the father of the kids is no longer in the picture, and it's because, you know, of very unfortunate circumstances, I understand, okay? But on the balance of probabilities here, guys, chances are the man is not in the picture because either A, she removed him, or B, he left. In any case, there is responsibility and accountability to be taken here. I don't see any difference realistically between this individual here complaining about being a single mother and someone complaining about them being overweight. Like, guys, if you're overweight, you can go to the gym. You can, you know, you make decisions which lead to being overweight. So when people complain about the result of their decisions, my thought is always, okay, well, you should have made a better decision then. Like, why would you make a 3-minute long TikTok complaining about your life and how difficult things are when you could have just, I don't know, not done the deed with a dude who's either not going to stick around or that you didn't want to stick around for the long term?
Like, sorry, we put our children first before a man, and that is what the problem is. That's why no one really wants to date a single mum, because we're too strong. We're strong-ass women, and do you know what? No men, well, some men do, can put up with having a strong, independent woman, right?
I wish I started the video with that clip right there. Okay, I didn't watch this all the way through. I've seen about half of it, but I wish I started the video with that clip there. Men are not intimidated by your quote-unquote strength. Okay, the idea that men are intimidated by your career or your, you know, your personality, your confidence. Men are not intimidated by women for the most part. They really aren't, unless you got some really terrifying looking woman, you know, with like metal you know, she's got all the piercings, and even then, a man is not really terrified of you. Like, men are not scared of these things. Okay, scared is the wrong word, and the reason why women use the word scared, guys, is because they have to rationalize to themselves why men don't want them. Right? So if they can place the idea that men don't want them as a result of men being insecure, then they can cope and live on throughout their life without the mental anguish of understanding that people don't want them because of the decisions that they made. Right? That's like an overweight person. Like, guys, let's just say, for example, I was overweight, okay? And I was overweight, I had no friends, I was awful, and I was mean to people. And then I complained, and I got on the internet, and I complained that men don't want to date me. And then I said, oh, it's because I'm strong. Right? It's because women don't like strength. No, it's because women don't like dudes who are overweight with no friends and who are like incredibly just a-holes to everyone around them. You see what I'm getting at here, guys? Like, the idea that men are off put by your strength is just so incredibly inaccurate, and that's why a lot of them will never improve, right? Because in order to improve something, you have to take accountability for the decisions that you made. Otherwise, you don't even know that the decisions are wrong. And also, yeah, no, she's actually correct here. No guy wants to enter into a situation. Imagine, guys, you enter into a relationship with a woman, and you are always going to sit below something else in terms of priority. So whether that be her kids, whether that be her animals, her household duties, okay, all of these things. It's like, why would you even bother entering into the situation to begin with if you're not going to be prioritized? Like, women will expect all these dates, they'll expect to be prioritized. You have to take care of them and their kids possibly. But no, you know, Lord forbid you as a man would like to be prioritized in a relationship.
What about, like, we didn't ask to be single mums? So
that's amazing, guys. You know, that truly is amazing. We didn't ask to be single mothers. You made a decision. Okay, now I can't cover the NSFW implications here, guys, but if you become pregnant, if you become a single mother, that was a consequence of your decisions. Don't give me this, it wasn't my choice, and, you know, I regret things now, or why won't men date me, or men are intimidated by me kind of crap. After you made this decision, like, girls will always try and pass this off, guys. Like, really, I see it so many times when a girl will either have a child or she'll be talking about this particular subject, and they will never take accountability. Like, for example, okay, I'm gonna have to speak around and dance around some words here for YouTube, guys, but when a man and a woman get together, it is very clear if a man has protected himself. It is not incredibly clear if a woman has protected herself. The final say realistically does come down to the woman. I can make sure that I'm protected, but it's more difficult for me to guarantee that the woman is protected. And also, you don't have to get with the dude at all, by the way. Like, you do not have to get with the man. You could say no, you could say I'm not interested. You could, you know, demand commitment first before you jump into the fun, but you don't do that.
You know, you can't really judge us like that. Like, we wanted to have a family, and we have either been left to be a single mum, or in some cases, some mums are arseholes. I'm not gonna lie. Some mums actually do just go and cheat and whatever and break up their family. It's not just one way. It's not just men, it's women as well.
Okay, so she raises what seems to be a good point here, okay? Why is it? So she's talking about dudes leaving her as a single mother. You know, a lot of single mothers, they, you know, have a guy, maybe they have a relationship or a situationship with a guy. They get, you know, they have the child, and then the man leaves. Now, my conclusion to this has always been, choose a guy that will stick around. If you are going to risk having a child, choose a man who is going to stick around for that child. Don't give me these, like, situations where you enter into a relationship, you ignore the red flags, or you don't even have a relationship, you're just pretending like you have one in your head because the guy's attractive, okay? And then you're like, oh wow, he left. That's like me going out here, guys, dating a girl who's like covered in tattoos, who disrespects staff, who has cheated on previous boyfriends, and then I complain when she cheats on me, or I complain when she does something awful to me. Like, all of the signs were there. When I see girls complaining about dudes leaving them or these types of situations, do not risk having a child with a man who is not going to stay around. It is very simple. And back in the old days, boys, back in the 1950s, you could go out here, right? And the idea was you would get married before you had a child. But this is what happens when you casually date, and, you know, you want to go out there, you want to have your 304 days, you want to have your fun in the sun. Okay, that's all well and good until, wait a minute, there are actually consequences to that.
But what my point is this whole tagging people of, like, branding single mums as these damaged individuals. We have to do all the work, and we have to provide for our children and make sure that they're brought up correctly and not be damaged by the trauma that most men have put through to their children.
You know what else is traumatic for a child, right? This is a hot take for you guys here. You know, pop quiz. What else is traumatic to a child? Okay. What else is traumatic to a child is not being raised with the father figure to begin with, right? Dudes who, or children, you know, children specifically who grow up without fathers, guys, there've been studies on this, okay? And I'm not, if you're someone watching this and maybe you didn't have a father figure in your life, I want to make it very clear. I'm not making fun of you or anything like that. I don't think it's particularly funny. and I don't, make light of the situation here. People who grow up without father figures have an increased, the men in particular, have an increased likelihood of going to prison, having high recidivism rates to said prisons. The women who grow up without father figures oftentimes go into a life that is not good for them. They end up on a pole, so to speak. They are unable to set boundaries with men. They often become single mothers as well. The men also who grow up without father figures develop sociopathic traits, from what I understand. Like, there's a whole bunch of issues that come up when the child does not have a father figure. Okay, so this is why it's so incredibly important when you're sitting here talking about having a family or whatever the case may be, that you actually, one, secure commitment up front, and two, get that commitment from a good man, not some guy who's just going to leave you, not the next guy who looks attractive on Tinder, not the next guy who looks attractive on Hinge. All right,
because of their actions. Pisses me off, honestly. It really pisses me off, and it's one thing that I will not allow my little boy to be, is to disrespect women on that level. There's so much of it on this app, and it really, really upsets me.
Not going to allow her son to disrespect, to that women to that level. Guys, call me crazy here, but I don't think it is disrespectful to say that men shouldn't date single mothers. Okay, I don't think it's something disrespectful. I think it's common sense. Okay, I don't think it's disrespectful to say that single mothers have made decisions that impact them negatively and that they should accept those consequences. Right? Call me absolutely crazy for that, guys, but it is what it is. And also, what this essentially means is that her child is going to grow up with an incorrect worldview. So she's going to, in all likelihood, teach the child, the classic narrative, guys, go out here, treat women fantastically, give them everything that they want, give them the flowers, the roses, show respect to women, even though respect is something that's supposed to be earned. And this guy, this young man is going to grow up in a very difficult position.
What an empowering thing to have men be on women's side and stick up for women and say, do you know what, look at that fucking single mum. Absolutely bossing life. Absolutely taking everything on in her stride. Where's that men at? That's what men should do.
That's what she says. That's what men should do. Guys, and that's the end of the video clip. We'll get into something in a moment here. But, I would take single mothers' sides if it actually meant, made sense to take that side. When people say things like, why won't somebody take my side, or why aren't men standing up for this particular issue, you actually have to have a reason that makes sense. Like, you can, try and throw logic to the wind, but there are some of us who still like logic, and we still like to, actually have a reason for standing behind certain things. But guys, let's momentarily jump into today's Reddit story. And this isn't so much of a Reddit story as an experience of a man who dated a single mother. Now, truth be told, guys, I have not read more than one sentence of this little post here that this man has done, and I can already tell you it's going to be a banger. So let's take a look at this. I've literally only read this part right here that says I was engaged to a single mother once, and I can already tell it's going to be negative. So let's take a listen here. And this was written 7 months ago by an individual named Moonsquid75. They say, I met her son when he was 8, and he and I got along great. His dad wasn't all that active in his life, so he essentially became my stepson. I taught him how to ride a bike, coached football, took him to school and doctor's appointments, built rockets and launched them at the park, took him to Disneyland, the whole 9 yards. We all lived together for 3 years and 1 day. His mother, my girlfriend, decided to cheat with just a friend from work. Needless to say, we ended the relationship and I never got to see him again. Just like that, the kid that I loved like a son was gone, and I had exactly zero right to see him again. Now, this is one of the more severe reasons as to why men aren't interested in dating single mothers, because let's just say hypothetically, a man goes in there and he says, okay, I'm going to take this single mother seriously. I'm going to do what she says, guys. I'm going to uphold those serious standards that she now has for herself. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to look after the child. I'm going to look after her. I'm going to have a serious relationship. What happens if that relationship goes south? Okay, so the woman will lose this guy who's providing, or whatever the case may be. But you know what the man loses? The man doesn't just lose the relationship with the single mother, okay, or, the individual who he thinks is going to be a long-term good partner. hypothetically, he also loses the relationship with the child and he can't do anything about it. So this guy who invested all of these things, and guys, I would argue that this is actually an incredibly common experience here of dudes entering into single mothers' lives, and then, obviously they lose what is essentially their kid. Like, they build a relationship with the child. They do things like, launch the rockets in the park, take them to Disneyland, the whole 9 yards, and then all of a sudden, this experience gets ripped away from the man. Okay, and he can't do anything about it. So he goes on to say, it was the hardest thing I'd ever had to do. It ruined me. I dislike her for what she did. I loathe her, in fact. I wouldn't cross the street to piss on her if her hair was on fire. Interesting. Leaving her was easy. Leaving him wasn't. After that, I won't date single mothers seriously again unless her kids are significantly older, late teens. The risk of that hurt coming back to haunt me isn't anything that I think I could withstand again. And this post right here, guys, so this is a comment that is responding to a post saying, what do you honestly think about dating single mothers? And this comment alone has 16.3 thousand upvotes on it, which I just thought was absolutely insane here, guys. You see the question float around all the time. Why don't men want to date these girls? Why don't men want to get into relationships with single mothers? It's not because they're so strong. It's not because they're so virtuous. It is, number one, there's a whole host of risks that come with it. Number two, being a single mother is an incredibly large red flag because, one, why would a dude come into a life and then take care of a kid that isn't his, which begs the question, where is the original father? Okay, it just absolutely makes no sense to me. But guys, let's jump into today's article here, and then we're going to wrap up today's episode. So I have a bit of an interesting one for you guys. Now, I haven't read through all the way through this one, but it actually seems to make sense to me. I had a bit of a skim through it. This was sent to me from one of you guys, and it actually seems to make some sense. So let's take a listen to this. It says, the 5 reasons why it's hard for single mothers to get a date. Hint, it's not because you have kids. A large part of it is the fact that you have kids, but let's get going. 5 reasons why it's hard for single mothers to get a date. Number 1, age ain't nothing but a number. Wrong. I will assume that if you are currently a single mother, you've been through some years in your 25-ish at least, all the way up to your 50s, dependent upon the age that you had kids. Finding suitable men in your age tends to be a catch-22. You could try dating older or younger men, but there's a chance that they won't be on the same wavelength that you are. Will the 26-year-old understand your complicated life? Will the 56-year-old be too wise beyond your years? And if you're in your 30s, where will you find someone who is not taken? Okay, so I take back what I said. This article has no idea what's going on here. If you are a single mother and you're you're coming up to your 30s and you are now returning to the dating market, a lot of guys, particularly the dudes who the women actually look at, okay, so the men who have options, they're not going to date a 28-year-old single mother, seriously, when they could just date a 22-year-old woman who doesn't have kids. That's the real crux of the matter here, is why would a guy come out and date an older woman who demonstrably has a bad habit of ruining relationships, quite possibly. She has kids, when he could just go and date the younger woman. You see what I'm saying, guys? And as these girls get older, I've covered many videos where you'll have girls complain about, okay, I'm 40 years of age, I'm 50 years of age, why am I invisible to men? Literally the past couple of videos on my channel, guys, have been women who have been older, and then they start to complain about the fact that, they're invisible to men. Like, of course they're invisible to men, because the men who have options are not interested in dating 40 to 50-year-olds, hell, even 28-year-olds who are single mothers. So let's take a look at the next point here. Number 3, opportunity is scarce. Once you get past a certain age, it gets tougher to meet people. You're not out and about as much as you were in your years. College is long over. You're not jumping around to different jobs, bars, and beds, hopefully. Your personal maturity and responsibilities trump all of these desires. In addition to the age dilemma above, the older you get, the more that men are unavailable. Face it, as we age, more and more men are taken off the market as they get into serious relationships, have kids, and get married. I love how she makes the point here as though it's like, oh yeah, when they get older, it's because there are no more men. There are actually plenty of older men who would be interested in having a relationship, but they never actually see those men. Like, notice how, guys, this is a very quick little switch, okay? The bait and switch here, where you just remove accountability by saying, hey, I'm getting older, men don't want to date me. It must be because there's actually no men left. When in actual fact, there are plenty of men of any particular age bracket that would be interested in dating women. It's a supply demand thing, guys. Like, there is far more dudes who would like a relationship, who are interested in something serious, than women, will believe. Because the dudes who actually want these things are just straight up invisible to these girls. So when they come around and complain and say that relationships are gone and there's no good men left, number one, yes, a lot of good men are leaving. But number two, also, you don't even see the good men and you don't give them a chance. So what really is the point? The next point here, unrealistic expectations. Ever consider that maybe, just maybe, your single mother dating problem could be because you have unrealistic expectations? Here we are. Here's something that makes sense. Do you think a man should wine and dine you, or have a certain amount of money and possessions to his name for his age? Are your standards, this is ridiculous. Are your standards on godlike status, where he hath done no wrong? Does he have too much baggage? Do you compare your life expectations to those on TV and social media? I would argue that a lot of women do this. Like, any girl who has Instagram, Snapchat, these dating applications, are actually just going to be far more unhappy with any man that they end up with, because they're constantly going to be comparing that man to the other options that she could have had. So she might get into a relationship with a good man, he might be fantastic, he might provide her with everything, but all of a sudden she sees her friend Becky on Instagram post with Matt, and Matt's jacked and has a lot of money, and they're getting married, and all of a sudden she feels jealous, so she feels like she needs to get married. She then sabotages her relationship because her boyfriend isn't ready to get married, and then she's back on the dating market hunting for another dude. Like, there are so many situations where social media is just so incredibly bad for relationships, and a lot of it comes down to the fact that women feel as though they're missing out as a result of seeing all these things. Maybe you're blah, blah, blah. Get over it. Every human on this planet has flaws. Open your eyes and expand your horizons. It could be you. Maybe your emotions are out of control. You've got a wall up, afraid to get hurt again. Maybe he's ugly. Maybe you believe that online dating is out of the question. Maybe you're traditional. The idea of like a traditional single mother, guys, to me, these two things are mutually exclusive in my mind. And he's not, or vice versa. Maybe you're complicated, eccentric, or needy, or all three. You could be intimidating. Okay, buddy. Maybe you're a single mother with no time to date. Nobody is fault-free, but sheesh, woman, lighten up. It has some good points in the article here, guys. There's some highlights here saying that perhaps they should take some accountability, but then it comes around and says, hey, maybe you just intimidate men, which is obviously not the case at all. But guys, we are going to be leaving today's episode there. As always, remember to leave your thoughts and your comments. Don't forget to subscribe to our other content creators, Hadan from Peace of Mind and Detective Warg. They've been pumping out consistent content for you guys to enjoy, and as always, their channels will be linked in the video description. Don't forget to come and join us over on Locals. Locals is totally free to join, guys. There's exclusive videos for supporters only, where we cover some different topics that you're not likely to see on the channel. But other than that, guys, make sure that you take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.